Hey guys, let's see if I can get anybody up here. Happy Easter, guys. Let's see if I'm even live anywhere. Where am I? Oh yeah, I'm live. Okay, guys. Well, happy Easter. I put a little Easter comparison of myself versus British Hodl. It's all fun. I like British Hodl, but I do think that most Bitcoiners are kind of thinking with about 20% of their brain, which is fine. I think that's a great way to get rich long term. I do think if you hold Bitcoin, you're going to do great. Yeah, how's Subnet 90? I want to give you a little bit of let me give you a little preview of what we're doing on the AI and on Subnet 90 first few minutes. So let me give you a little preview. Let me see if I can get that working 1 second. Oh no, shit! This is not my. Let me just show you I'll show you. I was going to show you, but I actually have it on a different computer. My dev. Yeah, so I will tell you a little bit about what we're doing with DJ Predict, which is pretty cool. So about 64 days ago today, I had this idea. I started coding some examples. And so my history into this is, look, I used to be a coder. I wrote some commercial software. I wrote this program called Matisse with my brother. Became a best-selling computer software program, shrink wrapped back in the days of Windows 3.1. I wrote about 40% of the code. My brother wrote about 60% of the code. And then I've been in software really ever since. But I've mainly been managing teams of software developers, right? So kind of how most software is done these days. I'm going to be talking about a lot of things, about Bitcoin. I want to talk a little bit about AI and what I'm doing with my super small team in this prediction market. So let me just go into that a little bit. So yeah, what am I doing? So anyways, I haven't programmed for probably myself for probably 20 years right now. I haven't really gotten deep into the IDEs and everything. And so Ben, whom I collaborate with on a lot of things, including the Big Bitcoin book, he was like, Fred, you just need to get involved. You just try Copilot, try Cursor. And I was like, okay, let me try Cursor. Let me try these things. And in about a weekend, I built a fully functional PvP poker game, right, just for fun. And I was like, holy cow! I could actually build a poker game with like cards, with like the rules of poker, 5-card draw, and it was PvP. So one player would play, the other person would respond, and it actually worked. It was driven by database, but Ben was like, how the hell do you get this thing working? And I was like, I don't know. AI just sort of told me. It said, go sign up for this cloud-based Postgres site, Supabase, and then it just kind of led me on. And I did all this. I deployed it using Netlify to a site, and I was like, holy cow! I can build an actual not shippable, but a sort of prototype app. I could build a prototype app in a weekend. Now that would have normally taken, even when I was at my best programming, that would have taken, well, back then it would have probably taken 6 months because you have to do everything from scratch. But I'd say today that would have taken a couple weeks to get that done, right? And I did it in a weekend. And so I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And I had this idea. I wanted to kind of build something in the prediction market space, for several years now, and I started thinking, let me just try building this through a front end thing on the prediction space, and I built a kind of front end, just a UI sort of shell in about in another weekend, so about 2 days, and I was like, oh my god, like this is actually possible to do insane things that you've never done before. So anyways, so I did that, and we released sort of a version 0.9. A working version takes Solana in, allows you to make bets, limit orders, all this stuff live on degenpredict.com. And let's just take a look at that right now. Degen. So we can give it a little sense of where that is now. How do I share this? Okay, share this. Okay, so this is an example of that. Let me do a picture-in-picture here. Well, I guess. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of how it is. You have these markets, and when you're in the market, you have buys and sells. And I had these prices. So if I wanted to connect the market here, let me disconnect here. Connect the Phantom Wallet. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Connect. What is happening here? Okay, so I have 5 SOL in this particular Phantom Wallet. Oh, in here. So I click here. I have 5 SOL in this available balance. I can deposit and withdraw. I have some locked balances, some locked positions, longs and shorts. I have orders that I have, and I have a history. I don't have any withdrawal history yet. So anyways, this is my portfolio. These are the markets I'm trading in. And, let's look at this market. May 9th, well, Ethereum. And I have some bids. Let me put an offer of 80 cents. And I'll put it at for 100 contracts. There's a 1 SOL. Place it. There it is. Okay. So in any case, what you see here is fully functional model. This entire code base was written in 62 days. And by me, 2 other programmers and Ben. So 4 people total built this. Not only built the coding, but designed the site, designed the front end, designed the back end, everything integrated with Solana, everything. So in 60 days. So this is sort of insane. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to show you a little bit of last night. I came in, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start changing things. Well, I'll show you on my Twitter what I did. So I made all these changes to just myself. And I'll just go over some of those. Okay, where are some of those? Window. Okay, let me look at my X. So yeah, so here we go. So yeah, so I mean, part of the thing with let's do the picture-in-picture like this. So I guess one of the things with coding, and not only you can develop code so much faster than anywhere else with AI, you can also refine the code. So I just went there last night. I actually went to an Easter. My wife's Polish, so we went to an Easter ceremony and blessing at the Polish church. So we hung out a little bit, some friends. So it wasn't even a full 24 hours, maybe 6-7 hours of coding. And I'll show you what I got done in 6 or 7 hours last night. It's pretty insane. So what I'm going to show you now is let's go to this. So basically I started saying, okay, great. I need to have these bets, and I need to separate the ones that are pure AI and the ones that are AI and human panels, right? So basically what is this thing that we built is basically a prediction market But unlike Polymarket, where these things are handled by committees, right? So they decide what's on the front page, what's in the crypto category, what's the bet of the day, all this stuff. This is really long tail. So anybody can create any bet. And instead of having committees resolve it, AI decides what's happening, right? So in this particular case, I'm going to separate out the pure AI bets with the AI hybrid, AI plus human judges bets. Okay. Now, for certain things, for most things, AI is good. So if you want to say, where's Bitcoin going to be at 2 p.m. tomorrow? Well, AI can can determine that with pretty high confidence. If you say, who's going to win, Manchester or Liverpool? Well, AI can determine that with pretty high confidence. Okay. If you say, is Fred going to move to Miami? Well, AI cannot determine that. Why? Because I'm not I'm not sort of elaborating on where I'm moving, and I'm sort of actually not moving to Miami, just FYI. But friends of mine could bet on whether I was going to move to Miami or not. Somebody might be like, yeah, I totally think Fred's going to move to Miami. Somebody may say, I don't. I'm going to bet on that it doesn't. So now we have a prediction market as to whether Fred's going to move to Miami. That really needs to be resolved by humans and not AI. And you can have these hybrid situations where you could say, I'm going to do AI, but I'm also going to have two humans just to kind of balance things out. And then we have this hybrid AI human resolution. And so this whole thing we invented, and we actually patented, and I filed an entire patent by AI, 40-page patent with like complex diagrams and everything. And let me show you that. Just and I'll show you that later. But anyways, so this is the first thing I did, is build this thing out, right? And then I started moving some settings around. So I have a settings thing now where you have your connected wallet, your connected Twitter. So we use both the wallet, and if you're making your own predictions, you're going to need to connect your Twitter so they can verify who made the connection. And resolving it via Oracle is tied to the identity on Twitter. So that's that. And then, if you have markets that you created, you can resolve them right from here. So that's cool. And then we've totally changed this portfolio page, right? So this is something that where AI is just spectacularly good, is like redesigning user interfaces. So it had an old interface. I just literally talked to it and said, okay, I want to kind of have more of a breakdown of your portfolio value by category. How much is liquid? What's your total value and of the positions that you have, and what are the value of your locked funds? Right? Then we can break each one of those down. So these are the positions that I have. How much am I up or down in each position? And then here's the locked funds. And this again, this is developed data. So I'm not using it on the real data. I could, but I didn't. I just wanted to look at it on the fake data. So I did that. Then I moved the entire detail page to sort of a modern order book style, changed everything so it's in percentages, computed the spread, changed the way we're doing limit orders. Okay. We will obviously have a simpler mode where you just buy yes, for people, but we want to first focus on the pro version. So the limit order book version. So we built that. Okay. And then I want to show how good is AI at resolving this stuff, right? So we have AI resolution, and we're having the first one that was actually yesterday. We're going to have it resolved by AI. And the only thing is it just wasn't hooked up properly. So I need to press a button. This will all be done automatically. But I want to show how good was AI at resolving these bets. Was it accurate or not? So basically, and this is where BitTensor Subnet 90 is coming into play, right? So this prediction app needs to understand whether the predictions were true or false. So we need a truth engine to say, did this happen or did this not happen, right? And this is an AI problem because, first of all, there's a statement. You have to interpret the statement. We have this thing called fine print, which is sort of the, as the name indicates, the details on this thing. And then the AI comes and says, did it happen or not, right? And it has a general, individual AI has a confidence interval whether it happened or not. But then we have this idea of all these bit tensor miners that are also trying to resolve the same prediction, right? And so, JJ, she was like, oh, predictions, we already do predictions. I'm like, no, you try to predict the future, like your financial predictions of the future. This is not that. We're not trying to have miners make predictions. We're having miners resolve existing predictions that have already happened in the past. We need to know whether it happened. So I need to know, did Bitcoin do this? Did ETH do this relative to Solana? Did so-and-so high school team win? Did this current event thing happen or not, right? And so what I want to validate, where I want to have these AIs be competing on, is resolving it very efficiently, right? And resolving it by category. So certain categories, some AI might be really good at sports, for example, but maybe not so great at financial stuff, right? On the other hand, somebody may be really good at financial stuff, but bad at sports. And that's something we've already seen in some of the limited data that we'll see. But getting this bit tensor mining community to really compete on this would be great. And the other thing is speed, right? So I want this stuff to be very fast. And that also means that, we don't want people fraudulently just copying other miners. And so if they get the same result in general as other miners, but they get it a little later, well, then they're probably using that miner's data and just copying it, really. And that's bad, right? So we want to really prioritize the person who did it first and not just the person who did it. So anyways, that all has to be built, has to be integrated with BitTensor and the weights and so on. So that's a little bit, it's going to take some time, but AI can also help tremendously with that because AI understands BitTensor. It helped me build the first sort of prototype, miner validator code. And I'm spending very limited amount of time right now at BitTensor. I'm going to spend much, much more once all this stuff's built. So that gives you an idea on the BitTensor stuff. Vegas Casino. Okay, so let me just talk now. These are pools. Liquidity, yeah. Okay, let me maybe Tom wants to join me. Let's see, I'll give him an invite. So they're not pools, by the way, Thomas. They're not pools. They're it's like an order book, right? So you can see. Let me invite Mr. Thomas Young here. I have to go to X. I'll invite him. Maybe he wants to join. Maybe Hodl will join too, but Thomas Young. Okay. I'm going to send Thomas Young a message to join me. Okay, I sent Thomas Young an invite, so he might join, he may not. But yeah, all the liquidity is all there, right? So obviously it's very small right now, but we're gonna get this thing working, and there's gonna be massive liquidity. There will, and I'll provide a bunch of it too. So what do we show on the? Oh, there he is. Hey, Thomas.
Fred, how you doing?
Good. Let me go to this view. Let me go to this view. Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. You go to church?
No, I didn't go this morning. We're going to head out in a little bit and visit some family, and we'll stop in at the church nearby. So I got to go see my granddaughter, and just, it's a big family day.
Great. Yeah, I went to Polish church yesterday, and the ceremony there is you have food, and you bring eggs and stuff, and you put it in the basket, right? And then you put the basket on the altar. Everybody puts all their baskets on the altar, and then the priest comes in, sprinkles holy water on you, and then sprinkles holy water on the food. And then you bring the food back, and then you eat the food.
Now, do you go and grab something else? Is it like a potluck thing, or do you grab your basket?
You just take your basket. Yeah. They have a deli downstairs. You can eat them too. But like the main thing is to get your food and bring it back.
Is there a big Polish community in LA?
Not as big as some places like Chicago.
Yeah.
I think the Midwest is kind of where most of the Poles ended up.
My area has, we have a town that has quite a bit of Polish folks, in a town called Manville. And then most of the area here is probably, I would say, Italian, if I had to guess,
right,
based on where the immigrants settled. So, yeah, but it's a nice day out here in New Jersey. A little windy, but it's a beautiful spring day.
Yeah, that's cool.
I did follow you this week quite a bit with that big launch you had with Ben. That's quite a bit of work to accomplish in 2 months.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's unbelievable. I didn't do the work though. AI did the work. It's like, as I was sort of showing earlier, like I've completely changed the UI from what you see now.
Yeah.
I changed it overnight, the last 24 hours. I just went into a branch, coded it up in Cursor myself, like that.
Yeah.
And that'll be live probably by the end of next week, right? So you can completely change these apps at, I would say 10 times as the speed now that you were able to even just 6 months ago.
So you say you didn't do the work, but I would say, the work has now become orchestration.
Yeah.
And so you did do the orchestration.
Yeah.
And, what's coming, let's just go forward 12 months. The orchestration layer is going to get automated, and we're going to move to natural language orchestration.
So it is natural language.
Yeah, but you have to have, in order to do what you guys did, you have to have some technical expertise on how to orchestrate.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is, there's a bunch of problems. So why aren't everybody doing this? Well, you do need some technical expertise, right?
Right.
But the other thing is you need to learn how to talk to the AI, right? Now, just like your experiment, whenever you're doing, right? Whether you're doing coding or something else, right? You need to figure out how to efficiently converse with this intelligence, right? Which is, arguably smarter than you, right? It's smarter than you, but it doesn't necessarily understand the way what you want, right? So you need to figure it out. And if you don't do it right, AI will just hallucinate and start just creating spaghetti code. And so you really need to corral it. You need to say, okay, this is what I want you to do. Now let's take it in steps by 1, 2, 3, 4. And each step we're going to go check each other. I don't want you to go, and I know you want to go crazy and you want to build all this stuff, but let's just take it one step at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and that process of like being it's literally like kind of talking to a teenager. It's like, no, I just want to do this. Like, no, slow down. Slow down. You're going to learn. We'll get it.
In the generic sense, you're talking about prompt engineering, right? And so that's been a big thing over the last 15 months. And, one of the things, the architectural breakthrough that DeepSeek did was it used AI to enhance the prompt engineering as part of the ecosystem. So it layered the architecture. There's two things that are coming, and you hear Eric Schmidt talking about it. in his past interviews in the last couple of months. One is infinite context windows. So there's really not going to be a limit to how much this thing can ingest and process and handle at the same time. And the second one is recursive performance architectures, where it's going to self-improve. So imagine you did this Degen thing, and you're sitting there and you say, look, I want you to take the Polymarket UI, and I want you to clone that and give us a new starting template. And from there, we're going to innovate on what we want to be the same, what we want to be different.
That's what we do now. We do that now.
So you basically use that as a blueprint to get started. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, I'm on the phone right now. You can do that.
Yeah.
So you can basically just cut and paste UI and say, hey, I want inspire yourself from this. It's very similar to looking at talking to a graphic designer. Like, what kind of UI do you like?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I like Apple. Okay, great. Show me what you like in Apple. Yeah, show me 3 UIs you like. Great. You can do that right now. So there's a lot of, if you just have to really start treating it with respect, just like you would treat a graphic designer or a UI designer.
Yeah.
And you can get amazing results.
It's amazing, Fred, just really how fast it's moving. I mean, you're kind of on the cutting edge in what you and Ben are doing, and tinkering around, and you have that knowledge of, just the experiential knowledge, which is different than book knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And so now but the thing that I just remind you of is, in 6 to 12 months, it's going to be so much better.
Oh yeah.
And
it's already night and day versus 6 months ago, right? It's night and day.
Yeah. So I just noticed that Grok dropped a new feature where you go into conversation mode and you turn the camera on, and you just walk around and say, what do you see? What's going on?
I gotta try that.
It literally just dropped, I think, in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
You go into conversation mode, turn on the camera, and you just have a conversation. What's going on? What's happening here? You could put an earpiece in and walk down the street, and it can have a conversation about what you're seeing, who you're seeing. Take that to the next level. You're going to have facial recognition, FICO scores, look people up. It's going to be wild.
Right.
I can't keep up with, I try to follow it all. I enjoy what you and Ben are doing. It's fun. It was fun to watch you guys. I watched your live stream when you launched it.
Yeah. So look, we got some really cool stuff. I mean, the Libre stuff now that Ben has is amazing too. Ben needs to do a whole live space on that. I can't.
Yeah.
The whole thing justice, but.
So Dark Side, right? Dark was going to play around with it and do some evaluation. He's very technical. He doesn't really lead on. He doesn't lead on too much that he's that technical, but he is.
Yeah, I talked to him quite a bit recently.
Yeah. I assume we're all going to meet up in Vegas. So that'll be fun. But I really like the loan products are going to develop. It's going to be extremely interesting how that works.
Yeah, we're up to, I think, 10 loans now. And so, the great thing about this is sort of the super in a nutshell why this is a great thing is if you there really is sort of 2 ways there's multiple ways of doing loans, but let's just go at kind of at the high level. One is custodial, which is I'm sending my Bitcoin to you.
Yeah.
I trust you because we have a contract or something, right? Or whatever. You're an institution. I trust you. And there's fine print in this contract says when I can get my Bitcoin back, under what conditions, etc. And then I'm going to give you some amount of stable coin for this Bitcoin, right? That's sort of version 1 of it. Version 2 is kind of like the Aave model, which is sort of works on Ethereum because it's, handles smart contracts. And basically every single day there's an interest rate, right? That is computed as to how many people want to lend versus borrow. And that can change quite a bit day to day, right?
Right.
Now, if you put money in, if you take out a loan, one of the risks is that your interest rate could go up quite a bit during the period that you need the loan, right? That's one thing. So you might take the loan at 4%, and then you find a month later it's at 9%, and that happens quite a bit in Nave, or the vice versa could go from 9% down to 4%. Anyways, let me just take one pause.
Yeah, for people who are listening, the loan products I think that are going to be very interesting are the ones where you can roll the interest and the loan value over time.
I gotta hop. I'm at